Hi, I'm Congressmember Judy Chu. Today, I'm chatting with my constituent, Dianne Lewis, who is my guest for the President's first address to Congress. Dianne suffered a devastating loss when her home of 29 years in Altadena was burned down to the ground in the Eaton fire, which took place in my district. And I was shocked when I found out because I'd known Dianne as an incredible community leader. And in fact, she is the CEO of the Alkebulan Cultural Center, also known as ACC, a Pasadena-based nonprofit dedicated to empowering underserved youth, including young Black Angelenos, through enriched educational programming. So, Dianne, thank you for coming all the way from Altadena to Washington, D.C. to tell your story. First, how did you come to live in Altadena? How did you come to obtain this house?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I dated a gentleman that graduated from Blair High School. Oh. So that's how it first came about. But I lost him at a young age of 42, and I wanted to be closer to my family because I had a son and a daughter. And my daughter was 7, and my son was about 13. And so we moved to Altadena to be closer to the family. And that's when we purchased that house, and that was in 1996. So I raised both my children in that house. Mm-hmm. So I've been there for 29 years. It'll be 30. It would have been 30 years this November.
Oh my goodness! So you must have so many memories from that house.
Everything. Elementary school pictures. When I went to college, when I got my second master's, when I started working on my doctorate, when I just all the community service that I've done, my work in the community as a sorority Delta, just a number of things. Yes, I've lost a great deal of things. My children, my son played golf, my daughter danced for Debbie Allen. Oh. My son played in various golf tournaments, very active, and I was very active with the school district. I worked for Los Angeles Unified School District for 44 years.
Amazing. And you were a single mother raising these 2 kids by yourself, and look at how successful they were. So tell me, what happened on the evening of January 7th?
Well, I have to tell you that the lights sort of were going on and off throughout the day on that day. And we continued to call Edison because that was an issue. But then I guess around 4, we had a complete outage on the entire block. So we got no more, the lights never came back on. And so we were just sitting in the dark, but our neighbors, the one thing about the neighborhood is that we were all checking on each other, particularly since some of our neighbors are a bit up in age. I have a neighbor that is 92 years old.
Oh my goodness.
He and his wife was a second grade teacher, mm-hmm. and he was a businessman, but we would check on him, and I would send my son over. I said, go make sure that they're okay. And then I guess around about 6 or so, we got on our cell phones that there was a fire in Eaton Canyon, that there was some sort of pole or transformer or something, and that the winds were very high and that we needed to start to prepare. Well, you know, Judy, I've been evacuated 3 times now, mm-hmm. but we always go back home. And so that's exactly what I thought would happen this time. And then the last thing I heard was that it had shifted and the fire had moved. And then it came on the phone that it was getting too close to us, that we needed to evacuate. That was about 11:30 in the evening. We still thought that they would take care of it. And we left and went down, not far, to a friend of mine's house, Los Flores, that lived on Los Flores, which is someone you know as well, Juanita Tillman.
Oh.
So we sat around and watched the movies because she still had lights and we didn't. So we still thought we'd be able to get back home, but then we fell asleep, and about 3 in the morning was when we had to completely evacuate totally because her house had smoked up.
Oh, my goodness.
So at 3 in the morning, we all packed up and we all left and we went to another spot. And the next morning, everything was gone. And that was the extent of that.
How did you discover that your house had burned down?
Oh, I have to say that we had a friend that knew some ins and outs of getting back to the top because I lived at the very top of the hill of the lake. And I wanted to make sure my house was okay. But he had told me that it was not okay. And I have to tell you that it's devastating. And all the years in my field of education, and I've heard about fires, and I've been sympathetic to families that have lost their homes and children that are left without homes and things of this sort, because I'm in education. This is the most devastating thing that can possibly happen to you, to watch your life right before your eyes just crumble. Everything you've worked for is gone. And some of the things, and even when I think about it, some of the things that I think about now, my mom's ashes were there, but that's where my child did her first recital. That's where they both graduated from high school. That's where they both went off to college, all their birthday parties, all their sleepovers. I don't have any of that. I don't have any pictures of my mother. My daughter's prom, my son's prom. My son played golf 1 year with Tiger Woods.
Oh.
I don't have those pictures anymore. This is really hard. It's a loss that you don't phantom dealing with and walking away from it. It's very difficult because you can't replace any of it. It's gone. And then the next thing, I'm an educated person, but then to go from a total loss to now, what do I do next? And you're kind of stunned for a few days, and you just kind of sit because you don't know what to do first. Sorry. But you don't know what to do first.
Exactly. What did you have with you? What was in your possession?
Well, to be honest, we have evacuated at least 3 times since I've been in that home. And we always return home within the next couple of hours or the next day. So we took very little. I took my purse, we took our dog, we took, I think, 1 change of clothes. That was the extent of it. Nothing more, nothing left. No papers, because I thought we'll be back in the morning and everything will be fine. And that's the way because that's that's the experience that we've had in the past with those fires up there.
So the next day after your house burned down, you literally had nothing. You did have your dog.
Right.
You had one change of clothes.
Right.
That was it.
That was it. I went to my daughter's, and just the whole idea of us, we just embraced each other and held on to each other, and then we started to hear some things of what we needed to do and how we needed to go forward with getting help, and trying to get a hotel room, which was a great, difficult task because it hit so many people, and you don't realize the numbers of people that it hit. And it wasn't just people that lost their homes completely, but it was people that were evacuated because of the smoke damage, because the smoke damage was so severe. So trying to get a hotel was very difficult. So you had to either go outside of the area or go to Los Angeles or in another city. My daughter just happens to live in Santa Clarita, which is quite distant. I run a center, and that wasn't what was on my mind, but I did know that I still had business that I needed to take care of, so I needed to get back there so that I could have access and know what was going on. But I started the process, and we started going over to the meetings at Pasadena Community College. That's where I started out at.
Yeah.
And I believe you were there,
Yeah.
Catherine Barger were there, the city councilman, our dear mayor of Pasadena, and several others. They were all there, which I think I have to say is most appreciative because it lets us know that you cared about the people that, and even though it's Pasadena, a great number of the mayor from Pasadena was there, and our city councilman. We all have relationships with all of those people. I do a great deal with the mayor, the city councilman, Justin Jones, Tyrone Hampton. So they were all there in support and offering their help as to what they could do to help us get places to live. So that in itself was most positive and most appreciative as far as I was concerned.
I'm not surprised to hear that you had trouble getting a hotel room because there were 20,000 people that were made homeless just in our district because of these fires.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what has the recovery process been like?
It's difficult. It's like a maze. And I'm saying that in truth because I am a graduate level student, and I'm struggling with all of the steps that you have to go through to get to where you need to be and to get what you want done and make sure that you're doing it correctly. And you also, while you're maneuvering all of these things, you still need housing. But the other thing is, while you're maneuvering these things, you still need food. You still need your grandparents to be taken care of, or your great-grandmother to be taken care of. And you're trying to maneuver all these things. You have a disabled kid, or whatever it might be. Because of the cultural center, which is our Kebulon Cultural Centers in Pasadena, the doors were open so anyone could come in and they could get things that they needed, which were basics, toothpaste, toothbrushes, toilet paper, tennis shoes, whatever. So we did that for a couple of weeks. However, as we talked to a number of people, a number of people didn't know about FEMA. A number of people didn't know about the Red Cross. A number of people, there was an organization called CORE. There was another organization that was giving out food. There was CalFresh. There was so many different organizations, but that's just the immediate help. But then there's the recovery side, which is you need to sign up if you want someone to sift through your ashes. Like myself, I wanted to see if I could find my mother's ashes. And then so you have to sign up with that, but then you have to go to the recovery person if you want them to clean up your lot. Then you have to go back and you have to take them the insurance, so you got to call the insurance people because you left the insurance papers in the house. So if you know how to get that sent to you, and then you have to go back and you get all of that paperwork, and then you have to take that back to them. It's just the bureaucracy. It's not a simple task. In the meantime, not only have to you get all those things together, you still have to find a place to live. You still have to deal with that mortgage. That house is not there anymore, but you have to deal with that mortgage, those bills, that insurance, all of those things, because it's still going on. Just because the fire happened, none of that stopped. And it becomes overwhelming. It becomes just insane. And even the telephone poles were on fire on my block. But I got a call from the telephone company that we hadn't paid the telephone bill.
Oh, no.
And I understand that because that's protocol when you don't. But what I said to her, I said, I apologize, but I am not thinking about your telephone bill. I don't even have a place to live. And so there's so much maneuvering that you have to do, and that there's so many people that I encountered throughout the day as I got back into the center and started having the community come into the center to talk, to share what were their needs, how were they getting help. And I found that people didn't know that there was FEMA at PCC, there was FEMA on Woodbury, there's another FEMA office in the parking lot at Food for Less. And people didn't know that. Well, what is FEMA going to do for me?
Yeah.
And then to follow up. So I felt like I didn't know if the media was really putting it out there or bombarding us with it, which I think is what should have been done. I think it just should have been like just lots of bombardment about you got to go here, you got to follow up. There are families that needed step by step. It took us 2 weeks before we found my neighbor, who's 96 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
So we wanted to be sure he was okay.
Yeah.
Everyone checked in, but at 96, and the first thing he said is, well, what am I supposed to do now? Because he lived there, he raised his children there, and that was his home. So clearly someone has to come in and help him, but which is what I see in the community right now, is who steps up and helps seniors. Why couldn't a manager or something as similar as a social worker come in and say, the first thing you do this, you call your insurance, and then you get your agent, and then you have them visit, and then you apply for this, and then you go to recovery, but you need to apply for FEMA, and then you need to go, someone to go, because there's so many steps that you're going to miss some of them. And then you'll look up and go, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. And then what do you do?
And in fact, the deadline to sign up for FEMA is March 10th, and the deadline to sign up for debris removal with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is March 31st.
Which I would like to ask or even express the fact that that's not enough time. The fire just happened January the 8th. If you understand anything about trauma and the loss of everything you've worked for all your life, you don't get over it in 2 weeks and, oh, now I can go sign up for FEMA. And that is not how it works. You have to go through there is mourning, there is grief. It is like a death. It's definitely a great loss, and it will take you through it. I had a dear friend that I called every day, and I said, you have to go, you have to get up. She said, I just can't deal with it. I just can't deal with it. If we don't understand that, if we're not sensitive to that, I'm not quite sure why you're there to take care of us. We should be able to count on our people at the top, the city council, the Congress, all those people that are in offices. You have to understand the process. Once you can get to a point where you've gotten through some of that grief, then perhaps you could start. The 10th is not enough time. It's absolutely not enough time.
We are asking for an extension. Yeah.
Please, we need an extension. I hope we can get an extension because there are still a number of people that have not even gone to see FEMA. And they've lost everything.
I know.
And there are also people that I'm not even sure that they understand that they're able to apply for FEMA.
Oh my goodness.
So, and some of that could be about being older and not understanding all the procedures or the lay of the land. And at some point, as we age and we get older, as you well know, as one young lady I met, her mother, her great-grandmother was 99, and she went and made her come out of the house. She raised all of her children there, and she still lived there. And she said, I had to make her leave the house. But I said, did you take your grandmother to apply for FEMA? She said, no, what's that? But she's 99 years old. At some point, those are not things that we tend to think about. We should have children if we don't have children, or we should have an overseer or someone that kind of looks out for us to say, you know, let's help you fill out this paperwork, and you need to go to FEMA and you need to go to recovery, and I'm going to take you over here and help you get some CalFresh. I'm going to take you over here, and the Red Cross is going to get you into a place to stay. We still have seniors that don't have places to live. This fire is going to add to our homeless situation, and I'll have to share with you, as a teacher that worked downtown LA with children that were homeless and families that were homeless, it's not a pretty sight. We don't need to add our senior population to this as a result of this fire, and that's what I'm fearful of. I mean, I'd like to see we need more funding. We need to be provided with help to rebuild. We need to be given, for the seniors that have lived there all their life, that is what they know. That is their village. That is, someone will take them under their wing and help them to rebuild, but they won't be able to do it if they're underinsured or if they don't have insurance at all, which I understand that there are some that didn't.
So Dianne, thanks for sharing all those thoughts. And my final question is, as my guest of honor at today's address to Congress, What are you hoping to hear from the president, and what would you like to say to the president about what occurred in Altadena and Pasadena?
First of all, what I'd like to hear from the president is that you care enough about this community that you will provide financial support to help this community of seniors and young people rebuild their communities so that they can start over again if they choose. But also that you are there for all of us, and that it's important, we're important to you, just as everyone else in the United States of America, just as everyone else that we help in other countries, which we do. We help everyone in other countries all of the time. Now, Altadena, as well as I understand another city, Palisades, or we need your financial support and help so that we can rebuild our community. That's what I'd like to hear from him.
Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's an honor to have you as my guest at the State of the Union tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much.